Okay, so today I want to deal with lazy loading. So essentially, I made a website where I have a bunch of images right here. In my last video, that's what I did. But then I just want to add something or just show how it can be approached. Now, this isn't like a comprehensive tutorial or anything. It's basically just first steps because the way I'm going to implement this won't really take the advantages of lazy loading. Essentially, it'll just be immediately running just like that once the page loads. Instead, what you'd usually want to do is maybe you have like a drop down and then the images load after the fact. But anyways, we'll still just show how I would approach that. So currently all my images have the source attribute right there, but we're going to change that. So all I have to do is just say data source and then add some little JavaScript right there for that lazy loading goodness. Let's see a function that takes a bunch of images and a function and those images will just be, and feel free to comment on how I can basically approach this because I'm learning too. But anyways, right here we've made this is a immediately invoked function. We're just going to pass it the images that happen to have class landing image. So what will the function be? The function should just fetch image dot get attribute data source dot then function that takes the response and returns the response as a blob, and then oh, my bad, and then we take that blob, Eesh, my goodness, and pretty much just set image dot source equal to url dot create object url blob, and here for variable I is less than images dot length. So basically this whole website was covered in my last video, even though there was no audio due to technical difficulties. But uh, we pass it the images and we get the items at the current index, and this should work just right, I think. Oh, I believe it'll work. So currently it's like that. If I could maybe just, okay, cache is already disabled, and right now, so press enter, and there, still working just fine. It's just that now the source has become blob. But as I said, this isn't exactly how you would approach this, but it's a starting point. This is basically the starting point, how it goes. You start off like this, and then little by little can improve on it. But I guess this works for now as a starting point of lazy loading. Just give the image an attribute such as data source that essentially just points to the actual source of the image or some way like that. And then when your page is running, You essentially just have to run a, a function that will just get that data source and then fetch an image, fetch an image, and then when it receives the response, turn it into a blob, and then set the image's source attribute equal to url.create url.create object URL. And you're pretty much done as a starting point. As a starting point. This could be made drastically better. For example, you could have like a bunch of dates here, and then maybe you want to drop down. Once it drops down with that particular date, it loads those images. But for the time being, I think this is good enough. Until the next video, peace.